Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching Janata Television and this is the English Bulletin with me, Sushant Dhakal. The top stories first. Dahal Nepal faction to continue protest. Dissident leaders of NCP announced third phase of agitation. PM Modi says people who wish to create terror will not succeed, claims those elements will suffer defeat in the election. Nepali Congress takes a strong exception to PM's anti-state remark, says PM Oli has curtailed the basic rights of the people. China tells USA to drop trade war, gives option for better relation or Cold War. And Chelsea sacked club favourite Frank Lampard from the role of manager, former PSG boss Tuchel to replace him. And now the news in detail. NCP's Dahal Nepal faction has decided to continue its protest against House dissolution as they announced the third stage for protest program yesterday. Dahal Nepal faction, which has been calling the House dissolution as a regressive step by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, announced on Monday that they will go ahead with the third stage of protest against the government. The Dahal Nepal faction, which has been protesting against the dissolution of lower house, announced the third phase of the protest program after interaction and consultation with the civil society and various intellectuals. The Dahal Nepal faction is preparing to launch a much stronger protest from January 26th to February 10th. The Dahal Nepal faction has decided to hold a whistle procession on January 26th and a sit-in with members of the Constituent Assembly, federal parliamentarians and State Assembly members on January 27th at the Maitighar Mandala. Similarly, protest rallies will be held in Butwal, Biratnagar and Dhangari on January 28th, 29th and 30 respectively. A youth rally is scheduled for February 4th in Kathmandu Valley. A nationwide protest is scheduled on 8th of February, while on 10th they are scheduled to stage a mass protest in Kathmandu. The Dahal Nepal faction has been demanding the reinstatement of the House and urging the Prime Minister to take action to that end. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has claimed that no one can now cause terror in the country. After inaugurating a bridge in Dang Deukhuri yesterday, PM Oli said that he was forced to dissolve the House of Representatives as the government was not allowed to continue with beneficial works. Without naming the dissident faction of NCP, PM Oli said that any force trying to destabilize the country will not succeed.
देश अगाडि बढ्छ देश अगाडि बढ्नबाट कसैले रोक्न सक्दैन हामी संविधानको रक्षा गर्छौं यस प्रणालीको रक्षा गर्छौं व्यवस्थाको रक्षा गर्छौं र यस प्रक्रियालाई सुरक्षित ढंगले सफलतापूर्वक अगाडि बढाउँछौं र यो प्रक्रिया यो प्रणाली यी कुराहरूलाई अगाडि बढाउनुको उद्देश्य हाम्रो देशमा सुशासन र विकास ल्याउने हो सुशासन र विकासलाई हामी प्रत्याभूत गर्दै अगाडि बढाउनेछौं.
PM Oli opined that no one should threaten the court and added that those who wish to create terror and chaos will face defeat in the upcoming election. Nepali Congress has taken strong exception to Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's remarks that anyone who opposes the dissolution of lower house is an anti-state element. PM Oli had said during a public function on Sunday that election is the best way ahead and had also labelled those who oppose the dissolution of House of Representatives as anti-state elements. Nepali Congress spokesperson Bishwa Prakash Sarma issued a statement yesterday to express strong objection to the remarks of PM Oli. In the statement, Sharma said that the Constitution guarantees the right to express difference of opinion and also to protest peacefully. Hence, he maintained that the Prime Minister's remark has curtailed the basic rights of the people. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. After the break, we continue with other national news. Coronavirus has claimed 10 more lives in the country, taking the death toll to 2,011. The government yesterday confirmed 338 new cases of coronavirus across the country. Following the latest round of tests, the total cases of coronavirus in the country have climbed to 269,789, while the number of active cases has dropped to 3,240. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, altogether 264,538 infected people have recovered from the disease in the country so far. Nepal is currently among the top 44 countries that have been most affected by the pandemic. The USA tops the list with 25.85 million confirmed cases, followed by India with 10.67 million cases. Coronavirus has infected more than 100 million people across the world and claimed over 2.14 million lives. Police have interfered in a mass protest organized by the civil society leaders against the House dissolution yesterday. The protest rally, which started from Kamal Pokhari, had reached near the PM's residence in Balwatar when it was baton-charged and water cannoned by the police. The civil society leaders had started their protest by a symbolic gesture where they put the soil from Kamal Pokhari on their heads. The rally's route started from Kamal Pokhari and continued through Hatisar, Magh Pokhari, Naxal, Bhatbhatini and was about to reach Balwatar when it was interfered by the police. The civil society leaders informed that some of the protesters have been injured because of the baton charge and the water cannon. And now the news from the economic front. Nepal Clearing House Limited has added 8 development banks and 2 finance companies into Connect RTGS system, through which they will now be able to initiate the process real-time gross settlement transactions. According to the company, Jyoti Vikas Bank, Mahalakshmi Vikas Bank, Muktinath Vikas Bank, Kamana Seva Vikas Bank, Garima Vikas Bank, Sangrila Development Bank, Sain Resunga Development Bank, Lumbini Vikas Bank, ICFC Finance and Manjusri Finance are the recently added BFIs into the system. Prior to this, 25 commercial banks have already been using Connect RTGS, NCHL said in a statement. Customers of the 10 BFIs can now initiate high-value and urgent transactions above 200,000 through RGTS. The statement further said that the customers will have to request the banks and financial institutions for RTGS transaction by filing a transfer from available at the respective bank. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called on Joe Biden to end America's trade war against Beijing, warning against a new Cold War. In his first speech since Biden entered the White House on January 20th, Xi gave a thinly veiled message to the new U.S. leader to abandon the stance of his predecessor, Donald Trump. According to The Telegraph, Xi made his comments at a meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos in a speech that could set the tone for relations between Washington and Beijing for the next 4 years. To build small cliques or start a new Cold War, to reject, threaten, or intimidate others will only push the world into division, Xi said. While Xi did not mention either Biden or Trump by name, his comments were clearly addressing the hostile relationship that developed between America and Washington during Trump administration. Xi reportedly said they should respect and accommodate differences, avoid meddling in other countries' internal affairs, and resolve disagreements through consultation and dialogue. The misguided approach of antagonism and confrontation, be it in the form of Cold War, hot war, trade war, or tech war, will eventually hurt all countries' interests, he added. Indian and Chinese troops were involved in a minor face-off last week in a disputed stretch of their border in the eastern Himalayas, the Indian Army said yesterday. According to Reuters, China has said the two sides must refrain from escalatory actions. Nuclear-armed India and China have been in a tense standoff since April in the western Himalayas and since then have bolstered forces all along the 3,800-kilometer border. It is clarified that there was a minor face-off at Nakula area of North Sikkim on 20th January 2021. At the same time was resolved by local commanders as per established protocols, the Indian Army said in a statement. It gave no details according to Reuters. Sikkim is in the eastern Himalayas, thousands of miles away from Ladakh, where the military crisis began last year and erupted into a hand-to-hand combat that left 20 Indian soldiers dead and an unspecified number of Chinese casualties. Indian media reports said the latest row in Sikkim had resulted in injuries on both sides. The military offered no comment but advised caution on such reports. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Premier League club Chelsea has sacked manager Frank Lampard after 18 months in charge at the club where he played his best years as a player. Lampard, 42, leaves with the club 9th in the league table after last week's defeat at Leicester City, having won only once in their past 5 league matches. His final game in charge was on Saturday, where Chelsea defeated Luton by 3-1 in the FA Cup 4th round match. Lampard was appointed on a 3-year contract when he replaced Maurizio Sarri at Stamford Bridge in July 2019. In a statement released on Monday night, Lampard said he was disappointed not to have had the time to take the club forward, while also adding that it was a huge privilege and honor to manage the club. Chelsea is hopeful that a new manager Tuchel will be on the bench for Wednesday's Premier League game against Wolves at Stamford Bridge. It is hoped that Tuchel can rejuvenate a team that is 5 points outside the top 4, and an announcement could be made within 24 hours, BBC reported. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Dahal Nepal faction to continue protest. Dissident leaders of NCP announce third phase of agitation. PM Modi says people who wish to create terror will not succeed, claims those elements will suffer defeat in the election. Nepali Congress takes strong exception to PM's anti-state remark, says PM Oli has curtailed the basic rights of the people. China tells USA to drop trade war, gives option for better relation or Cold War. And Chelsea sacked club favourite Frank Lampard from the role of manager, former PSG boss Tuchel expected to replace him. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.